Let me just turn my phone on.
It says the stream was deleted on Facebook. Try creating a new stream. Or just remove this destination from the stream, then re-add it. Okay. Delete Facebook. Wait, it says end stream. Oh, I'm live. We're live. Hi, live.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to re-add Facebook. It was doing weird things. Save changes. Let's see here. Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Come on, pick up the slack, Katie. Talk.
No, I was closing out what I was doing. Okay, here.
What's the point of having you here?
Well, because I didn't know we were going live yet. Nobody told me.
It was after 7, but then it said Facebook was canceled.
You usually give me a heads up when we're going live.
I didn't know we were live. And Cash, stop trying to kill me. Damn it.
Cash, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is Cash doing over here?
Also, I don't know where the IOCDF thing went.
Why are we killing Ethan? Okay, well, I'll start talking. So
yeah,
hello,
start talking. See what happens.
Hello, everybody. And you have 2 streams on YouTube, so separate chats, I think. Yeah, but we should still, Cash, typically we see all of them on our side. And you're right, it looks like we're not live on Facebook right now.
We should be now.
Is there anybody on Facebook that can let us know if we're live on Facebook? Let's see. Y'all really are seeing the behind the scenes here.
I don't know where the IOCDF, because normally it's that. Oh, that's much better.
Well, that's without me.
I know. So I don't know where the IOCDF thing went. All right.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing if this actually is live on. It looks like we're live on Facebook. Just nobody's commenting right now. That's it.
I just added it. We're good. It's back. Okay. So.
Okay. Sorry, y'all.
Katie is somehow just as confused as me, and she wasn't even here to get confused in the first place.
Wait, why wasn't I was right here. I was just working on my phone.
Welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Ethan. No, I'm not dead yet. Ask it again in another 50 years.
Cash, I have to tell you, it was so jarring. I got on here and I was like, what in the world is Cash doing?
Welcome to Community Conversations. It is Tuesday, November 25th, 7:03 p.m. on the East Coast. Of course, if you're in Australia, then it's Wednesday, November 26th. With all of that, welcome. Sorry for the slightly delayed start. We had some technical difficulties, so they are now solved, except for the fact that we are not IOCDF branded in the background.
Who are we?
So yeah, I guess we can say whatever we want. So more on that later. If you're just getting here, please let us know you're here. Cash, you don't need to let us know we're here.
Well, no, Cash was talking about Cash here. Okay, I have to say one more thing to Cash here. Is Ethan back? He's my favorite. Are my streams not your favorite too?
Anyway, so let us know you're here. Say hi, where you're from, and we'll get started in a couple minutes. Meanwhile, where is... Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I don't have a special account, so I can't see anything.
I don't know.
But I do know that I'm super, super, super excited to be here with y'all as folks come in tonight. I know I'm not usually on this stream, so this is kind of a special one with Ethan together. And I see Zach from Raleigh. I see Jennifer. Welcome. Cash. Welcome. Beth. Welcome.
I don't think this is it, but it works.
No, but that's perfect because I told everybody it was a Thanksgiving stream. So this is great.
There we go. In light of IOCDF, we're going with turkeys and weird trippy mushrooms.
Cash prefers you because he's not religious. I'm not scary though, Cash. It's okay.
Hey, Zach. Yeah, a long time. What is up with the mushrooms? There's a turkey, there's pecan pie, and then there's mushrooms.
There's not. What are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
Pumpkins.
Okay, and then the left is the hat, and then there's trippy mushrooms.
There are no mushrooms. Oh, wait, no, there are mushrooms. Okay, sorry. I'm not trying to gaslight you.
Next to the weird dog with the beak.
Okay, sorry. I'm a dude and I live somewhere on planet Earth. Yes.
Right on. I like that. Welcome to planet Earth.
Beth sees mushrooms too. I'm glad. Thank you for validating Ethan, because I'm over here making him feel like he doesn't know what's going on.
I actually felt very confident in my mushroom spotting. All right, let's get some housekeeping out of the way, and then we can dive in. Clearly, Katie is on her game tonight.
So, we're 6 minutes in. We didn't know we were on. It's okay. We're doing great.
Yep. Katie gaslighting Ethan, writing it down. Okay. So welcome to Community Conversation. As always, this live stream is educational. It's not intended to replace therapy. For treatment-related questions, please work with your local provider or contact a local clinician. You can use the IOCDF's online resource directory at iocdf.org/find help to locate a trained clinician near you. Also, the IOCDF is not a crisis lifeline. If you are ever feeling suicidal or unsafe, please call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988. Go to your local emergency room, or of course, call 911 if you're in the States. As always, we want to create a safe space, be kind and respectful to everyone. At the end of the day, we're all here to support one another. And a note, as always, this is being broadcast on several social media platforms and is being
even if we don't know if we hit record yet.
And is being recorded. So always keep that in mind as we spill our guts in the name of community and mental health. Mm-hmm. All right. If you're just joining us, what's up, Chris? Yo, back. In another month, it'll be ho, ho, ho. So we're easing our way in. If you're just joining us, let us know you're here. Say hi. We have a special guest, Border, on the what?
I thought I was the special guest.
Border. Oh. Yeah, okay. No, we have a special guest tonight. CEO of Sick with the Ick, OCD advocate extraordinaire, and most importantly, the mother of my cats, Katie O'Dunn. Hi, Reverend Kay. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here tonight. I'm excited to see Love Lana now in the chat too.
We haven't seen Love in a while.
I know.
Everybody's showing up.
So everybody is showing up for our Thanksgiving extravaganza. And I have some things I want to talk about tonight. Ethan, I don't know about you, but I know you usually just let this thing roll.
Yeah, I'm here for them. I ask them what's going on. Somebody asks a question and we go into it. But no, feel free.
Okay, so are we broadcasting from the same house? Yes, we are. I am up here and Ethan is like down through the floor right over there. What? Why are you giving me a look about that?
I was just curious how you were going to describe where we were.
No, like literally, if I jumped through the floor, I could like
land. Katie's in our bonus room, and I'm one floor down in my office.
That would be a better way to describe that.
Hey, Nathan.
So hi, Nathan.
AKG, always lurking. We like it. I'm glad you're lurk away. Lurk away. All right, Katie. So Katie had something that she wanted to talk about.
I do have something I want to talk about. So this has come up. We've talked about this in the last couple Stick with the Ick actually support groups over really the last 2 weeks, because I have heard from a lot of people that this is a particularly tough time of year. And I know it is. It always has been for me as a part of the OCD journey too. The holidays for so many different reasons. But Thanksgiving especially, what I've been hearing from folks is that the concept of gratitude can feel really, really tough. Especially when folks are going to family's house and people are saying, well, what are you grateful for? And you might be in a space where you're saying, well, it's kind of hard for me to talk about gratitude right now because OCD sucks. I might be struggling in these different respects. I might not be feeling support right now. And I think sometimes it's hard to be surrounded by a holiday that is so focused on big acts of gratitude when we might be feeling grief for things that OCD has taken away. So I wanted to raise that topic tonight because it seems like in the last couple of support groups, folks have really resonated with that and hear what others have to say about that. And I also wanted to give a little bit of a reminder that if you're struggling with that this week, that it is okay. And my challenge for you would be to give yourself permission to feel all of the emotions and maybe even to hold grief and gratitude together. And what I mean by that is you can give yourself permission to feel frustrated for the time that OCD has taken, or to grieve, or even to be angry and all of those things. And we can hold that too. It doesn't just have to be about gratitude. And if gratitude feels particularly hard or triggering this week, I would encourage you, along with the grief, to find some micro joys. And that's become one of my new kind of favorite phrases is, what does it mean to find a micro joy if you can't find something that's like a big gratitude thing? And that might be, my micro joy today is eating a really awesome strawberry, or walking outside and feeling the breeze, and learning how we can find the gray and hold that alongside the grief. So wanted to bring that up, Ethan. I'm not sure if you have thoughts on gratitude being particularly hard when we're navigating OCD.
I was actually thinking, as my first proclamation to work on this, I am going to establish unthanksgiving.
Say more.
What?
Say more.
We don't have to give thanks. It's the opposite. We're not thankful. We're unthankful. It's unthanksgiving. And it takes all the pressure off. We can get together. We can have food. We can enjoy each other's company. But we're just not thankful for it. Anything else in life.
Yeah. I'm curious from folks in the chat, does this ring true for you? Does that feel like a super pressure time that you have to have this like big gratitude proclamation? It's okay, chat. Just leave me hanging.
We actually lost 7 viewers when you started bringing this up.
No, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Did I really? Oh gosh. Oh, some people don't resonate with this. Never mind. Okay, well, Ethan, you take it back away.
No, Zach wrote, feeling like I have to perform happy. Yeah, absolutely. Like you have to be feeling a certain way. Yeah. When you don't actually feel that way, which I was reading Beth's comment, I don't feel pressure, and I had a snarky comment back, but I wasn't going to say it. Out of love, always. Anyway, although, with OCD, we many times have to feel a certain way, and it's not typically how we're feeling. So I like it, Chris. Chris has got the feeling. These mashed potatoes, not thankful. See, I think we'd have so much fun with an unthanksgiving. I think it'd be like, this sucks. I'll get seconds, but it sucks. And your house looks like crap. Pickman wrote, I don't feel particularly pressure to be thankful, but the holidays in general can be kind of depressing just in general. Yeah, for sure. I think the holidays in and of themselves, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever you observe, I think ultimately it's about having to be present and feeling overall this time is for celebration and reflection and gratitude, whether it doesn't matter what holiday it is. And it just seems to really focus in around this time for obvious reasons. And those can be really tough feelings when you're experiencing OCD, or you're really stuck in the muck of OCD, when you're tired, you're exhausted, you're not feeling a lot of anything, or you're frustrated, or you're angry. It's kind of hard to show up and feel the things that, everyone else is feeling, when in reality, everybody's dealing with something. But it is a more challenging time because there is, we feel an unnecessary pressure to be or act a certain way when that may not feel authentic to ourselves.
Yeah. And I think, I really resonate with what Zach said, the feeling like I have to perform happy and check in with everyone and all of those things. And I can think about a couple of Thanksgivings. Like I have very specific memories from like 2017, 2018, and 2019 that I can like pinpoint in my head, sitting at a table where folks were going around the table and saying, okay, Katie, what is it that you're grateful for? And I was thinking, I'm kind of dying inside without treatment. And I have these really intense, intrusive thoughts, and I feel so alone. And I remember putting on a smile and being like, no, like I'm so grateful, and everything is fantastic. Right. And it almost became kind of this masking for me. Yeah, Zach, I'm glad and not glad that you resonate with that, because I'm so sorry, because I know that's so hard. But I think that's kind of what I'm talking about with this is I so wish I could go back and tell me of a few years ago, like, it's okay to not be okay on Thanksgiving. It's okay to, as Ethan said, like to be like, this kind of still sucks right now, and we can still enjoy time with our family and show up and be present.
You know what?
Would not be okay.
That is true. First of all, I saw Best comment, and I thought she wrote crabby.
Oh, it should be as crabby as my life is. I
yeah. Like I challenge that, Katie. Yeah. I remember, no offense if mom's watching, but I remember, coming or showing up to Thanksgiving or really any event around the holidays or otherwise, and I was distressed and upset, and I would show up, but I would be like, I would have a look on my face. My mom would call it a whale face. I don't even know what that means. But she would be like, she would like look me in the eyes and get rid of your whale face. Like, you're ruining it, and it was like, yeah, I think there is a pressure to be a certain way. So I would show up, I would be there, but I was struggling. And I didn't have the skills and tools to put on a face. I was just as I was, and it wasn't good enough. Right. And nobody understood what it was I was dealing with or what I was going through. So, only partial ill will, but yeah, so I think that, sometimes coming as you are in other people's minds isn't enough. And that's when we internalize that. And then we start saying to ourselves, well, then I can't do it, or I'm not enough, or I have to be a certain way. And that's not true.
I so agree. And I think, when I'm coming back to, and I'm looking at what Beth is saying of, things can be sucky and we can still have things in our lives that we're grateful for. I 100% agree with that. Even in the times that I was struggling the most, honestly, things like gratitude journaling were really helpful for me. And that's why I'm kind of talking about the gray here of grief and gratitude can exist at the same time, because I think with OCD, things can feel, as we know, so black and white. And it feels either like, I have to be the best possible, most enthusiastic, grateful version of me for everybody around me, or today has to suck. And I wonder if you can give yourself permission to feel all of the things, which might be, I know that's why I was saying before, micro joys. It doesn't necessarily have to mean, I don't know, we feel a particular way where we're grateful about everything in the universe, but we're picking things that we might be able to lean into that are meaningful to us, that we can name. And I do believe, Beth, we can all name those things, and we can give ourselves maybe permission to hold that and say, man, I'm really thankful to be sitting next to this person at the table. Man, that pumpkin pudding is really good. Well, man, that those potatoes that Chris made weren't so good, but I'm still thankful for them. All of that stuff. And at the same time, be able to say, and this year's really hard and it sucks. And I think for OCD, finding that gray for us can feel really hard and scary, especially when there's pressure in front of other people.
Absolutely. No, I was actually just thinking, because I was like, oh man, I can't find the IOCDF branding. And I'm just going to like put stuff in, and hopefully nobody from the IOCDF sees it. And then we have 2 board members in the comments. So I was chuckling at that.
Oh, hi, Chris. Oh, I see Chris.
Chris is in the house. And then our IOCDF board president, David, is here.
Hi, David.
I was like, oh, the decorations are covering everything. We'll figure it out.
David, we're grateful for you too. So good to see you. Yeah, and Jessica, our cat, did show up with much gratitude.
Yeah, a lot of great names. But no, I agree with you, Katie. Yeah. And it is okay to show up how you are. And I think that, I think lack of education was a big piece of my history and my story, both for myself and my family. And I think, I would hope that no matter where you are in your journey, if you can, explain to those around you where you are, what you're doing, and who you are, that they'll be accepting of that. And at that point, if they're not, you are not obligated to be around that, and I know it doesn't feel as easy as that seems, but if I had the information that I had now, right, and I went to my parents, and said, listen, this time is really hard, and I may not be full of smiles and full of jokes, but I will be there. And I will do my best, even though I may not be present at all times. I would hope that they would meet that with graciousness, respect, and empathy. And, and that would be okay. If they didn't, and they were like, no, you have to be X, Y, and Z, then I have a decision to make. And that's on them, and mine's on me. Chris wrote, holidays were harmed due to always being late, contamination fears, and harm thoughts towards family members. We use that as ERP, and now I'm only slightly late. Lol. but no more OCD reasons for that or OCD showing up at the holidays. That's awesome.
That's awesome, Chris. I love that. And I'm slightly late too, not for OCD reasons, but just because I'm always slightly late, as Ethan will attest to. You know, I'm pulling up, Chris, what you just said reminds me, so many different reasons that Thanksgiving and holidays can be, triggering, with the gratitude piece that we're talking about, but also just with all the different fears it evokes. And I wanted to bring up, I'm actually going to bring up some pictures here, which Ethan doesn't know I'm doing. So Ethan, brace yourself.
We don't share things on this stream.
Yeah, we share things on this stream.
We don't share other things.
Yeah, we do. Man,
I'm in this picture. I can feel it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, let's see here.
You're killing time here, Katie.
No, I'm not. I am not killing time. This is very important. No, I wanted to, so Ethan, anybody here in the chat know some of Ethan's fears?
Fear of you showing pictures on live streams?
Besides that, which we're going to do an exposure for right now. But Ethan has always struggled with fears around also kind of food not being good or potentially being contaminated or potentially being bad. And Ethan had never cooked a turkey before last year. And I was so proud of him.
Most 24-year-olds haven't, okay?
Okay. Yes, that is very true. Okay, let's see if I can share my screen. Okay. Sorry, I am killing time here. It's okay. We're fine. But folks want to see this. I think this was like one of the absolute coolest things.
OCDI alumni remembers. I think that's Kim, I'll bet.
Yeah, it is. It's Kimberly. Yeah.
The pic. People have seen the pic.
Oh,
this is old news, Katie.
Can they see that? I'm sharing my thing.
Yeah.
You have to put it on. Yeah. See? That's Ethan right there. So incredibly proud of him that we turned it into then a...
You're just going through your camera roll?
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to come up next. Who knows? We took a lot of pictures of this. Should I stop?
I don't... Okay.
Okay, that's a good one to end on. But was so incredibly proud of him, right? And I think I watch this on Food Network. Yeah, we should have a show. But the reason I'm showing this, partially to embarrass Ethan and to give him an exposure of having to show his pictures on the live.
Ethan cooks raw food. That's also Ethan cooking. It's the same thing.
But no, I think it was so neat. And I will say, as somebody who watched him last year, it was really, I know it was actually really triggering in a lot of different ways. And you freaking leaned into it. And it was just awesome.
Literally.
You literally leaned into it. But I think you literally moved towards your values and you created one of the most beautiful possible Thanksgivings for a family that we had coming into town. And that was
and I also learned I don't like making turkey.
Well, that's why we're not doing that this year.
We're traveling this year. That's not the reason. I would cook a turkey again. It wasn't my bag. It's not for me.
Oh, Chris didn't know you can share pictures on here now. We're all in trouble. It was a turkey, y'all. It was a turkey, and Ethan's hand was up. It's what. But
so Jason Spielman's on from Anxiety and OCD Treatment Clinic.
I'm so glad we're sharing pictures.
And he wrote, "Is that chicken?" So Dr. Spielman, for those of you that are in Florida and looking for a wonderful treatment provider, he was actually on my team when I was really ill, and we spent almost every day together while I was intensive outpatient. And he ate almost every meal with me. And at that time, I was afraid of chicken and eggs, and I wouldn't eat either. And they force fed me a lot of different foods. But poor Jason had to endure my my chicken, my fear of chicken, death by chicken, all the chicken fears. So that was turkey. It is. You have to laugh, Dottie, but thank you. I appreciate it. I'm proud of me too.
I was proud of him too. And yeah, Cash, he does put up with me and I do appreciate that. But I mean, we can laugh about it all day long, but I was so proud of him last year because that was and especially to cook it then for yes, I know Cash is on your side. He likes you better. It's totally fine. But to cook it then for family. And
it's stuck on there for some reason. I can't get that down.
No, yes, you can.
Nope, it's not working. Weird.
You can totally pull that down. Okay. Anyway,
And that
well,
is true. I did wash my hands, but after I stuck it, and
mhm.
actually my my father was cooking the turkey with me because he's an expert turkey maker, and I would literally say to him, like, I would touch all the things and then be like, "Is now a time that I'm supposed to wash my?" Like, I didn't have it, and I was like, "Would you normally wash your hands?" He's like, "I wouldn't, but you can." I'm like, "Okay, then I won't either." And then like I would mess around with something. I was like, "Okay, would you normally wash your hands now?" And he would say, "Yeah, no. Now I would definitely wash my hands." I'm like, "Okay, then I'll wash my." It's okay to have support. Um, and so yeah, it's not a perfect science, but
Well, and what you're describing is actually such a great example when we're trying to figure
you're
out.
done. Katie, show her the picture of my hand up the lasagna.
Oh, I don't have one of those.
Okay. Anyway,
Ugh.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's also such a great example of what it looks like to kind of align yourself with normative practice in your community or with your family. And I think this can apply across the board with OCD, of trying to look at what, with scrupulosity, I have this conversation a lot of what's normative practice in your community. How often would others pray or go to confession? What would that look like? In Ethan's case, well, how might other people wash their hands? When would they do that? And that could be, I think, such a great tool as we're reconnecting with our values to think, well, what would my family member do? What would somebody in my life do in this situation? And try to align with that despite what OCD says.
Absolutely.
Well, Ethan, it's your show, so I'll let you take it over now that I hijacked it with grief and gratitude.
I call it griefitude.
Griefitude.
Hmm?
Appreciate it.
Well, no, you're doing great. You didn't hijack anything. I'm glad we talked about this. This is important stuff.
I think it's important.
Could have
Yeah.
done it without the picture, but hey, whatever. It's cool.
I think we'll
Um,
talk about that. I
so
have Dexter pictures here too, but it's fine.
so curious for all of you in Chatland. How are you doing? What's going on in your lives? What do you need support with? What do you want to share? What are some wins? Let's get the chat started. Tell me what's up. And how do you boot Cash?
Nope, we're keeping him. I'm his favorite again. Cash, we're
We
good.
have to clear the cache every now and again. So yeah, share some wins, share some difficulties. Anything's on the table except for cash. So only some things are on the table. And let us know where you're at. And also, while we're kind of populating the chat thread. Hi Victoria. My son is 27, OCD, anxiety, depression. We ate here in Huntersville, North Carolina. We were having trouble finding. Here, hold on a second. My son is okay. We ate here.
We are here.
We are here and are having trouble finding help. Intrusive thoughts, grief. What do I ask for my son? Great question, Katie.
Yeah. No, I mean, first of all, I'm so sorry because I think this can be so incredibly challenging, especially as a parent when you're watching your loved one kind of go through this. And I always say OCD, anxiety, depression are kind of family disorders where we all, in some ways, are kind of experiencing this together. But my next questions would be in terms of, trying to figure out what do we do with these intrusive thoughts and grief. I'm curious, or be talking about, grief around time lost or around OCD. I'd be curious what this looks like. But I'm really, I'm curious kind of where y'all have started to potentially look for treatment options or if you've started to do that. Even if not directly where you are in North Carolina, I'll say there's actually some great providers in North Carolina that treat virtually across the state that are really good with OCD, anxiety, depression. There's definitely funds we can recommend, but we can also drop in the chat the IOCDF treatment directory. And I think it can, of course, feel so intense of where do we even start? Where do we even go? And I just want to offer a little bit of hope and support that there really are some awesome ERP providers in North Carolina. And I would actually argue some of kind of my favorite clinics there, whether we're thinking Bull City or, so many different ones, but iocdf.org/find help, I think can be a great place to start. I'm curious what you might add, Ethan.
I echo everything that you said. I'm sorry as a I almost said as a son, but as an individual that really struggled in my 20s and eventually became bedridden at 32, I can probably relate to a lot of that. And the intrusive thoughts can be really intense and intimidating, and all of those things. I just echo what Katie said. Also, I don't know if Katie wants to quickly look for it while I'm talking and kind of taking over, but she asked about like, what do you even ask? So if you could pull up that article from the IOCDF on.
Oh, I didn't see that part. What do I ask for my son? Yeah, this is one of my absolute favorite.
I didn't say talk. I just said pull it up. I'm in the middle of stuff, Katie. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Nope, it's okay. I'm pulling it up. You can talk about it.
I'm gonna get in trouble now. That was aggressive. All right, let me take this down real quick. I can't do two things at once. So Victoria, she's going to pull up an article. I forgot who wrote it, but it's a great article on the questions you can ask providers, ranging from your needs all the way to their certifications and degrees and what they should have that you're looking for. But the bottom line is you want exposure and response prevention, which is the gold standard treatment for OCD. It is a form of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. You want at least a master's level therapist or higher that specializes in OCD and related disorders and specifically practices exposure and response prevention. That would be probably the first place to start. And whether it's intrusive thoughts or physical compulsions or everything in between, you always want to start there.
I would say, Ethan, I'm having trouble connecting, but I just dropped the link in the chat to you. So
you're having trouble connecting to the chat?
Yes.
You dropped the link to me where?
You can put it up in our little chat.
Okay, Roger.
In our people chat.
Thank you, Katie.
That you can use that. But yeah, that resource that Ethan's putting up right now is actually one of my favorites. And I share it with everybody who's kind of starting the journey because I think it can be super, super, super tricky. Because what?
I don't see it.
Click on, do you see where it says comments and then it says people?
I see private chats.
Yeah. It's in the private chat.
I know, I see a thing. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ooh, rough tech day.
Yeah, sorry. No, but Victoria, I think this can be a great resource because I think it can feel really overwhelming where there are often so many providers that say they're OCD specialists when they might not be. And the questions on here, I think, can be really, really helpful in asking, well, is this actually an OCD specialist? Are they knowledgeable on ERP? Is most of the practice that they work with actually OCD related? And I think sometimes it can feel kind of scary to ask some of those questions when the reality is you are so worthy of asking that for yourself or for your family member to make sure that they are getting the right evidence-based care and support. Because we know, Victoria, that it's super hard and it's really hard to watch a family member and a loved one suffer. And we all believe that there is so much hope. And I think Victoria says she doesn't see it. I think Ethan just dropped it in the chat. It's the iocdf.org/finding help, how to find the right therapist.
Perfect. So Jennifer wrote, struggling, overwhelmed, tired of OCD and depression, 'tis the season. Yes. But Katie talked earlier about micro joys and, or I should say, I also want to talk about micro wins. And I would say being here with us is a huge step. I remember when I was really struggling, and I'm sure Katie can relate, and didn't want to do anything, just want to kind of sit in my own darkness, staring at the wall. To even get onto here and listen or comment is such a huge step. And that shows fight and that shows optimism. And so as tired as you are, you're here. And that's a huge win. So giant pat on the back for that, Jennifer. And we're glad you're here. So welcome.
We're glad y'all, like everybody, we're so glad that you're here and just with us, and me and Ethan's quirkiness and silliness and all of the stuff that you're kind of hanging out with us. Cause I want you to know that, like Ethan said, it really is hard when you have OCD, or like we were just hearing when there's a family member with OCD. We have, we have been there, and just showing up here, I really do think is a step forward, and it's advocacy, and it is such a leap of faith to ask for help and support. And so we're just really glad you're here. And Victoria, do you see that? I'm so sorry. And I know you're getting some hugs from folks here in the chat, and want you to know that there is hope, and we're sending lots of hugs. And especially, I'll say Ethan, not to get into too much of his story, but has very much been there in that space.
Yeah, for sure. And Victoria, please, I don't know if you've been here before, but please feel free to ask additional questions if you want to. You can ask more than one. Cash is a wonderful example of multiple comments. Hey, Robert, question for you. Have you considered an electric car? Just curious. What, Katie?
Isn't that accommodation?
Yeah, but I was just curious. Like because he's already been fighting his stuff. He's great at it. I'm just curious, like what percentage did he really want to get an electric car? Like, just curious.
Don't listen to Ethan. He's encouraging people to accommodate.
I'm simply curious how bad, like he thought it's a solid fix, I struggle with cross-contamination fears while cooking. It's funny because I never really struggle with contamination specifically, but I think when I developed sort of the fear of the food thing, which came much later in my life, I never thought twice about anything I was eating. It came much later and just kind of stuck. I got my first sense of what contamination felt like, in the sense that, like, it's a loop. I was like, whoa, it's a loop. Like, I made eggs. And I mean, you all know this, but from my experience, I made eggs and I had raw eggs on my hand. And then I went to the sink and I pressed the soap and washed my hands, but then it was on top of the soap. So do I clean the soap? So I grab the soap and clean that, but then it sprays on and it's never ending. And I was like, whoa, okay, I get it. I get contamination now. I totally understand it. And so, yes, cross-contamination for me, I was thinking the same thing as well. Like, I'm touching this, and does this go here? And how far apart should it be? And should I not watch this? And should I watch this? And yeah, it can get very stressful and intimidating, but I've gotten better with cooking. So, and it's just practice and continuing just to expose yourself. I'm sorry, OCD, YouTube, are you signed into a different Google account? Because usually they're tied. YouTube is tied to Google.
I'm convinced tech is also just misbehaving this week. We've had so many like app issues of things that have been like all wonky this week. I think tech is I think tech wants a vacation this week too, just like the rest of us.
I love that. Values over compulsions. I'm down for that.
Yes.
I love that. Zach is absolutely right. To Victoria,
yeah.
I think a lot of grill providers on ERP had 2 OCD people, did no such thing. So my whole story was I saw 10 therapists before finding the right. And all of them said they treat OCD, and had no clue how to properly treat OCD. If they say they do ERP, you're at least off to a good start. You then want to kind of dive, and there's some great pointers in that article about then where to dive into from there to further elaborate on their training around ERP, where they're certified, who they learn from, and you can get a pretty good gauge. Just like any other treatment, it isn't just about whether they do an ERP. The relationship with the therapist matters, how you vibe, their approach, your approach. I mean, there's, it's not a perfect science. It's not a one size fits all. And so, but hopefully, in our mission as advocates, is, if we can just say words like ERP and let people hear them as early as possible so they can, skip the years, if not multiple decades of money and frustration of going to see therapists that claim they treat OCD and don't. That would be, that's a win on our book. A win on our books. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right, Katie. You can do that again. All right. Let's see here.
I see. Phyllis, thank you so much for, I'll let you get down to that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can. Totally agree with you. DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, while it isn't a first-line treatment or an exposure-based treatment for OCD, it is a really helpful and beneficial treatment alongside OCD. It deals in many things, but one of the things that's very effective in is emotional regulation. And for me, I had a really hard time managing my emotions when I was triggered. So I had a hard time. Once I was triggered, I'd become not overly emotional. I'd become dysregulated and therefore unable to really participate in treatment. So DBT really helped me be able to manage my emotions a little bit more, so then I could engage in what I needed to engage in as far as exposure and response prevention.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Phyllis, thank you so much for that. We had so much fun putting on the IOCDF Faith and OCD conference last Wednesday. We ended up with 500 attendees who were clinicians, clergy, and folks with OCD across faith traditions. And it was such a gift to be there with everybody. So Phyllis, thank you for the kind words and for supporting and being a part of it.
Absolutely. Katie did an amazing job along with the IOCDF. Those and can you watch the recording?
Yeah, so you can. You can actually still go on to iocdf.org/faithcon, and you can still register for the conference, and you can go back and watch all of the recordings. We recorded everything from the keynote to the presentations, with the exception of Q&A and discussion groups. Everything is recorded, but there are so many awesome sessions, and the keynote was, I think, just really amazing too. So there's so much stuff that if folks still want to go back and watch that, you absolutely can.
Yeah. Jen asks, for someone who's lost track of what normal is, what times of day should we be washing our hands as a guideline for non-compulsive hand washing? It's a great question. And I will start by saying we're not medical professionals. Although, well, we're not. I played a doctor on television.
I was just going to say, although Ethan played a doctor on TV.
Yeah, I have a little bit more medical credibility than Katie does with her 12 doctorates behind her, and I have movie posters behind me.
I know, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I can just talk about theology.
But, so I'm going to answer that question, but I also don't want you to be compulsive about the answer that I'm going to give, meaning that it's all about flexibility and not rigidity, right? So I would say, so I'll tell you when I wash my hands. I wash my hands before I eat and or after I use the bathroom, or and this is where it gets great, or if I've touched something specifically gross. Now, what does that mean, right? Because if you touch something that you deem contaminated, you could also argue that that is gross, right? I mean, like if I've handled garbage or I've, I don't know, gross. Not sticky, not uncomfortable. Like, if I have honey on my hands or something, because there's that just right feeling. But honestly, it's very funny. So when I went through treatment, they treated me for hand washing, even though I didn't have I didn't have contamination. But they were like, oh, let's just add it to it. I don't know. So when I was in Boston, for those of you that know my story, when I was living in Boston after the residential program, and I was dating, maybe 3 months into the relationship, we sat down together and we were kind of like having that conversation about like, hey, what irks you? Like, what about me is something that bothers you? And that conversation, whatever. And I'll never forget, she looks at me and she goes, you never wash your hands. She's like, you never wash your hands after you use the bathroom, after like we're on, because Boston public bus, you hold the poles, you hold the rail on the escalator. She's like, you never wash your hands. It's disgusting. And I'm like, it's not my fault. They trained me to never wash my hands. And before COVID, if you know Dr. Grayson, he famously would say that he didn't wash his hands since the 1970s, other than showering. And that is a true story. He stuck by that up until COVID. He never washed his hands. But I would say sensibly. So, after the bathroom, before you eat, and if you've been really busy and hectic, and you've been out all day and you get home and you have a snack again before you eat, and that's pretty much it. There are flexible times, of course, and you don't need to be perfect, but that's what I would say. We can always ask ChatGPT and see what it says.
No, do not encourage that. That's not helpful.
What do you think, Katie?
I have kind of three answers.
Okay. It is.
So one is what I mentioned before. I know it can be super challenging, but I think normative practice of people that you spend time with or people who don't have OCD who are in your life can be a really helpful barometer. So sometimes I'll talk with people about what is your spouse do or what does your friend do? And that can be with hand washing. It could also, again, I work a lot with religious scrupulosity. So a lot of times we'll look at that in a religious context of, okay, in your particular denomination or sect or religious community, what do 80% of folks do? And it isn't a perfect science. We can kind of try to align with that. And just like I see further down, which I think is really important that Zach's noting, we have to be willing to get it wrong and to sit with some discomfort around that while trying to kind of align with normative practice. Now, I'll say that initially with ERP, most likely you're going to work with a provider, or if you're doing some sort of self-help on your own, where you might want to start by overcorrecting a little bit. Because it can be really hard just to, I don't know, if we're trying to kind of rewire our brain from an ERP perspective, overcorrecting at the start can be really helpful. Like with what Ethan was talking about with Dr. Grayson, it might be starting by saying, I don't know, I am just not going to wash my hands unless, you know, these two things happen. And that overcorrecting can kind of help us find a gray. And I think that can be really helpful. And the other piece I always like to bring up is thinking about each time you're washing your hands, what is the function of the behavior? And you can do this really with anything, because anything can be compulsive or not compulsive. And I like to really think about, well, am I doing this because it's normative? It's because it's what somebody else would do because they just use the restroom? Or am I doing this because I feel anxious? Because I'm scared that something bad's going to happen if I don't, because I'm going to feel guilty if I don't. And that can be a really good initial sign that some of that might be OCD and that we might want to start to push in a different direction.
Let's touch on this. So yeah, no, she just says what's normal. But you know what? Even though me saying what I think is normal, like I know people,
that's why I said there is no, yeah.
I know. I remember I was on a trip to Colorado and we were like, I think we were fishing or something. I don't know. But I was standing at the car. This is before I was better. And this guy comes to his truck and he's got mud and he's just disgusting. And he puts down his tailgate and reaches in a bag and takes out a sandwich. And then opens up the sandwich, puts it on the tailgate of his car, just on it, of his truck, and takes out like some mayonnaise and puts it on there and then mushes it down with his hands and picks it back up and pets his dog and wipes his butt and then eats this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, what? And that's probably normal for him. So that's my point is, you know, what's normal. But on that front, I think this is a good topic to maybe go out on, which is this idea of normal and what is normal and, you know, about what your barometer is and guidelines and all this stuff. So I'm going to pick up where kind of Katie left off. And I'll only speak to my own personal experience with navigating OCD. I think that, you know, you have to take the responsibility of trying to figure out what the right thing to do, if it is OCD, if it's not OCD, if it is compulsive, if it's not compulsive. You have to alleviate. If you're in the midst of it and you're just starting treatment or you're in treatment or you're struggling in treatment, whatever that is, for me, taking the responsibility off of myself of trying to determine whether it is or isn't normal. For me, taking the approach of, while I was in treatment, I'm going to assume it's OCD. If it's around my themes, right, it's most likely OCD. And because the other stuff I feel confident, right? So doing that initially was really helpful because it wasn't about sussing out. I don't know that I had the capacity to determine what was or wasn't. I didn't have the objectivity. I didn't have the insight. And so removing that from me, taking that burden off of me and just like, let's just assume it is. Let's just assume it is. And of course, that's scary because what if it isn't? Okay, we're going to be willing to take that risk. We're going to be willing to make a mistake. But for the sake of, I always say, you know, if OCD is a 5-alarm fire, you can't put it out with a bucket of water. You know, you have to meet it where it is to hopefully land somewhere in the middle. And that middle is that normative state. So, so for me, the first part of it is like just treating everything, like not everything, but everything that I was stuck on as if it was OCD, was really, really helpful, just to start. And then, you know, as I got better and as things came along, I started to ask therapists or ask people in my group, like, well, what is normal here? I've done this thing my whole life. When is it okay to go to the doctor? When is it okay? Because I had health anxiety. When is it okay to go to the ER? When is it okay to, and start gauging from other people, like what is healthy, what is not healthy. from that perspective. And then over time, you build confidence, you'll build objectivity, you build insight around your stuff. The OCD gets quieter, the healthy, wise mind gets louder, and you get better at listening to it. And suddenly you recognize that you actually do possess the knowledge that you're looking for. OCD puts the doubt in our heads, but when you quiet that noise and move it to the side, it turns out that we actually have the answer to most of the things we're questioning. Right. So, and I totally relate, Jen, to like feeling like I don't have a sense of anything. I just feel completely lost, and that nothing much makes sense in terms of what I'm supposed to do or not do. And that's where like handing over the keys and letting someone else drive is really, really helpful in terms of treatment and therapy. And then as you kind of get back on your feet and start to establish a sense of what is, you start to gain those skills and tools and understand and be able to make really informed decisions for yourself. Quick story, then I want to let Katie weigh in. When I moved out to Los Angeles from Boston, I got pretty sick with the flu or whatever, and I had a fever for 2 or 3 days, and I was like, I really need to go to the doctor. But prior to that, I wasn't allowed to go to the doctor because of my health anxiety and always wanting to get reassurance. So my psychologist had said, you do not go to the doctor. You need our permission to go to the doctor, and otherwise you can't go. So I moved out to LA. It's like 2 or 3 days. I was like, I really need to go to the doctor. I was confident I needed to go to the doctor, but I didn't think I was allowed. So I called my therapist, my old therapist, and said, hey, I have like 102 fever and I'm not feeling well. And it's like, can I go to the doctor? And she's like, well, yeah, of course you can go to the doctor. I'm like, okay, you never like gave me the green light. You just sent me off into life with never saying, okay, rules off now. You can do what you want. But it was also obvious to me. Like I knew what I needed to do in an area where I like had no insight for the longest time.
No, I mean, I love all of this, and I've been kind of reading the chat too as you've been talking, and I think there's already some beautiful recognitions in the chat that, like at 7:50, that with ChatGPT becoming a crutch for looking for answers of what's normal, and yeah, that looking for what's normal in and of itself can become compulsive. Of, oh no, I need to get to this perfect ideal of what normal is, and the reality is, there really isn't a right or a wrong answer to any of this. And even with this, from a scrupulosity perspective, I talk a lot about this with faith, where somebody will say, well, what's the right thing? I'm like, I don't know. And I know that can feel really frustrating and really scary, but there's not necessarily a quote unquote right answer of how often we're supposed to wash our hands or do a particular thing or a particular ritual. It's why I actually hate the word normal. I'll always say normative practice, so we can kind of align ourselves with what that looks like with somebody. But I think we always have to be willing to get it wrong. And we have to be willing to be uncomfortable with the possibility that we can get it wrong and that there might not be a right. And sometimes in that, like Ethan said, I think one of the most helpful things really is handing over the keys. And Ethan and I both do that for each other with our themes. We have some different themes, or sometimes I'll hand over the keys to him and vice versa. And when he hands over the keys to me, Ethan, if you didn't, I was going to say, if you didn't know this already, when you hand over the keys to me, I do not always know the right answer to the question, but I'm telling you what I think, and we're just going to roll with it. Right. And there's uncertainty in that too. But I think a really huge piece, and I love that this is coming up with Jen and so many, is that, we can try to align ourselves with something that feels more normative or value driven, and we get to be willing to get it wrong. And if it looks like OCD and smells like OCD, we get to trust that it's OCD, and we get to choose to go in a different direction, because as Ethan has always told me, OCD is going to take away our life long before any of the other scary stuff that OCD says will.
Absolutely. Real quick, we'll try to cycle through these. So it's hilarious. So just showed me an advertisement for Natural Pill. I recently got advertised OCD gummies.
Oh,
they're not THC related, but it's OCD gummies, and it quiets your mind and it does all this stuff. Jen, is it the same thing? I'm just curious. Real quick, here's a question from Chris for Katie. Talk about how treatment changed your beliefs and views of God that was affected by the scrupulosity.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, this is something I could talk about for hours. But in Okay. Well, no, I know. I was just clarifying, but in the simplest form, I mean, so my research is entirely focused on reimagining ERP as a spiritual practice, and yes, I love that in terms of research and writing and all of that kind of stuff. But that also was something that was really personal to me in my own experience. So religious scrupulosity actually wasn't, as much as I work in it, wasn't my main kind of theme. I primarily struggled with moral scrupulosity and harm OCD at different points, kind of sexually intrusive thoughts, false memory OCD. I was really fearful that I had committed crimes and blocked them out or forgotten about them, and struggled not confessing to crimes that I didn't commit, and was in a pretty dark place. And for me, embracing uncertainty was literally the most terrifying thing that I could possibly imagine. And I remember my therapist saying, well, you're a minister. You literally talk about leaps of faith all the time. How can you not embrace uncertainty in your OCD journey? And gosh, it was terrifying, to the point that while I was going through treatment, I used to physically go to the bathroom between classes I was teaching and like get sick, because it was just so hard to sit with. And coming out of that experience and surviving it, realizing that I could embrace uncertainty, that I could continue to lean into optimistic uncertainty and take steps forward. Even though my content wasn't really about religious group, it changed my relationship with God and with faith, and this idea that, gosh, I didn't have to know. I didn't have to be certain. I didn't have to have all of the answers in order to continue to step forward with a beautiful life. And it ended up transforming the way that I viewed theology and my relationship with God as a whole. So that's my 2-minute answer, Ethan.
I think you did a great job. I'm impressed. Real quick, Kylie, what to do if your prior therapist reaches out and has a history of poor boundaries? I think the quick, simple answer is, if they're making you uncomfortable, you don't respond. Honestly, or if you feel a need to respond or it's incessant, you can write a short email back saying, I'd like to, no longer keep it cordial, but firm, in saying that, thanks for reaching out. I've moved on, wishing you the best, something like that.
And just to, I think for individuals with OCD, I'll say like me, boundaries, setting those boundaries for someone, it can feel scary. Like your brain might create all sorts of things. Well, what if I offend my former therapist, or what if I upset them, or what if they're just this, or what if my brain does all of the same things? And I want you to know that boundaries are compassionate, both for you and for the person that you're setting those boundaries with.
I'm going to play this back. This is great.
Yeah, he knows I struggle with this, but ultimately it actually maintains your health, the health of that person, and it maintains the relationship. And it doesn't always mean that person will be super happy, but your OCD is most likely making it a catastrophe that it's not, in telling you that you have to do all of these things or support this person in this way. And the reality is, you can't help anyone else in this world unless you put your own oxygen mask on first. So it is so okay to not respond, or to respond in a short way, or to respond in a way that sets a boundary. And we can still be compassionate and set a boundary, or be compassionate without even responding. And that's okay.
Agreed. Real quick, and we'll maybe end on one last topic. When I hit OCD recovery, it was crazy how much I had to relearn, because all I did was answer OCD my whole life. I totally relate to that. The concept and subject of normal and what's normative is continuing in the chat. I think I'm just going to say this as a wrap up on this potential subject, at least my own personal opinion, and you can take it or leave it, is that, for me, I'm in trauma therapy right now, and I'm grieving all this stuff that I didn't do, and all the stuff that I didn't do, I deemed to be normal. So like, dropped out of college, didn't go to college. My mind wasn't normal. Didn't go to sleepaway camp. Wasn't normal. Was afraid to spend the night over at friends' houses. Wasn't normal. These are my opinions of wasn't normal in my life. I think ultimately today, I would say the goal is not to live a normal life. The goal is to live a life that is in accordance with your values and what you love and what you enjoy and your passions and how you want to live your life that's truthful to yourself. Being true to yourself is the ultimate goal. being normal, whatever the hell that means. There are lots of people, amazing humans, that I would probably say, oh, they're not quite normal. And, you know, they're normal to them. Your normal is your normal, you know, who you are to yourself, your true, authentic human. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So whatever we deem is normal really was a product of who we grew up around and what the experiences we saw everyone else that didn't have OCD. Well, they did all those other things. So that must be what normal is. And that's not necessarily my normal, you know? So I would encourage everyone, no, do not chase normal, chase authenticity, chase truth, chase values, you know? And we can sit here all day long and say, well, people go get the mail and that's normal, or people are able to walk to the car and that's, so we do not compare struggles. We do not sit there and go, well, that person can do that. We simply look at ourselves and go, what can we change? What do we want to change? Because it gives us a bigger, fuller, more meaningful life. And so, you know, yes, you know, realistically in life, there are things that are normal and things that aren't normal. But in reality, that also changes. That constantly changes. What was normal 20 years ago is not normal now, because people break barriers and people break through, and things that were considered taboo or you know, whatever, are considered normal now, realistic, reasonable, okay, acceptable, at least by some. But ultimately, living your authentic, value-driven life is what this is all about. And so I would encourage everyone to sort to move away from the idea of normal as a whole. Move away from normal and more what is healthy for you, what is meaningful for you. And you can do that by guidance, treatment, therapy, all of the above. It isn't any one person. It's a group of people, friends. And you'll know when you start to live that life, because you will start to feel at peace and fulfilled. And so that is my hope and goal. We can get really granular and microscopic and talk about, like, when it's appropriate to wash your hands, what's normal. And yes, there are some guidelines around that. But ultimately, you know, don't chase normal, chase values, and don't try to get back what you lost. You know, try to move toward what you want and what you desire now.
I 1,000% agree. And it's interesting because we'll talk from an ERP standpoint with clinicians and with treatment development of things like normative practice. But I kind of, in this conversation, want to, and I think that's value driven is, or valid as someone's kind of developing treatment and what that looks like. But as a whole, I kind of want to chuck out this word normal as we're having this conversation. I really do. I kind of want to throw it out the window because, yeah, I mean, first of all, normal is super overrated. I think normal people are really freaking boring anyway. But with everything that we're saying here, you're right. We want, everybody is so unique, and we want you to show up as the most unique, awesome, authentic, value-driven version of yourself, not engaging in compulsions because of fear or guilt or shame or anxiety, but doing things in a way that offers meaning and connection to you. And I love what Jen just said. We got this, y'all. Let's do all things wrong together. There is no normal. Sometimes I'll tell folks, let's have the best wrong day possible. Let's get all the things wrong and still step toward our values anyway. So I really love that everybody's kind of leaning into this together of, maybe we don't always have to get it right. We just get to do our best to be the most authentic versions of ourselves.
And that touches on, I just want to give a shout out real quick to, I love this and I lost it. Phyllis's comment about, that's what I've been working on, just randomly skipping a step in my daily tasks. It's like mental stretching. So this idea of mental flexibility, right? That is OCD's worst nightmare. OCD wants you to be rigid. It wants you to listen to you. It wants to be everything right and certain, right? And this concept of like, well, I'm going to do one thing a day that is maybe be out of routine or out of characteristic, or I deem it to not be comfortable, is the best way to sort of loosen the rigidity of your brain. You want it malleable. You want it flexible. You want to be able to bend. You know, if you're outside in a picnic and it starts to rain, you know, we want you to be able to go, God, I was really looking forward to this picnic, but I'm going to pack up and go inside because it doesn't make sense to be out here right now, right? So I love that. That's like that's a micro, not a micro joy, but a micro tool, if you will, just a way to stay loose. And I really like that, because that,
I was going to say my micro joy is seeing people talking about like being okay with not getting it right. I mean, gosh, that's a micro joy for me, is just saying this chat, everybody be like, hey, let's like do this thing together. It's really cool.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, I try to do that. Listen, this sounds silly, but like I'm a huge organization. I love to organize, and I love for things to be very perfect. It isn't OCPD, I don't think. And it isn't
No, it actually, it's not.
It isn't a compulsion for me.
No.
It's literally my life was such chaos up until I got better that like I take pride in things looking nice. So like right now, our pantry is a disaster, and it's like no, it's not. I'm not blaming it on you.
I'll blame it on me. It's me.
Disaster because I like things a certain way, and I like to open it up and it looked good. But like, I'm just like, this is a great opportunity to just sit with this discomfort, even though this discomfort isn't OCD. Like, you know what? I'm going to put the chips back and just throw it in there. You know, any opportunity you can to throw a little wrench into things that, you know, anytime you can practice things that are sort of lower hanging fruit makes you stronger for the times that are more challenging. So with that, we will end with down with normal, which I like. DWN, we know what that means. So people we're on here next week or next time we're on, we'll be like, you know, if you know, DWN. Yeah, for sure. All right. With any last words, Katie?
No, just thank y'all for being with us tonight and for talking about all things grief and gratitude and quote unquote normal. And I just hope everybody has a beautiful rest of the week and an awesome Thanksgiving. And yeah, all of the things.
Absolutely. For all of you that are in the US and observe, happy Thanksgiving. Show up as you are. And you know what? If people don't like it, that's on them. You're doing the best you can. And we support that wholeheartedly. And for those of you that are not in the US, obviously, we are thankful for you too. Thank you for being here. I have things to read. So with that, as always, let's see here. What was I looking for? Yeah, CDF is donor supported. You can if you want to give back, it's a good giving time. iocdf.org/donate. Also, as always, subscribe. Nope, wrong button. Subscribe, follow all the social media so you get notified when we're on, and you can tune in. I think we'll see you 2 weeks from tonight. So.
And I mean, I'll say too, I mean, it's not for a little bit, but we talked, I know there was some scrupulosity stuff coming up in the chat. We do have an IOCDF on December 16th, our annual Finding Light in the Darkness stream.
I thought you were going to say Finding Nemo.
What?
I don't know. I just thought you were going to say we have our annual Finding Nemo. I'm like, awesome. Sounds fun.
That is not, no, it's Finding Light in the Darkness. And we're going to talk about all of these amazing holy days across traditions where it can feel really dark during this time of year and what it looks like to find glimmers of light. So would love to have y'all.
Beth called us out. We're doing a you hang up first. Beth totally called us out.
We have to leave because Ethan's helping me host trivia on Stick with the Ick in a few minutes, which he's so excited about. Right?
Anyway, stay safe, stay vigilant, feel the feels, don't let OCD off the hook. Thank you, Katie, for being here. I always love having my beautiful wife and amazing human on, as you are all amazing humans. Let's not be normal this week. Let's just follow our values to the best of our abilities. Try to be authentic to who we are and not apologize for it. So with that, have a beautiful evening or whatever time it is, wherever you are. And we'll see you next time. Good night.